This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded August 12th, 2012. Episode 108. Reprobate, Replicator, Replication.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of ChipReport.tv.
What about Chris Gamble's Analog Life?
I'm still going with the Chip Report TV thing. It's new. I don't know.
Hey, dude!
What?
Curiosity!
Yeah.
Woohoo!
I think, so we're going to talk about this. I can start talking about it now, and then you can start talking about it in 20 minutes when you finally catch up.
Why?
You were 20 minutes delayed on the feed. You missed the show.
Oh,
and then...
right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, let's not go there because I'm so angry about that.
That was rough, man.
No, do not remind me.
Well, what was
Thank
the
you.
event? So, were there a lot of people there? The thing you were at?
It was at the Sydney Observatory, right?
Okay.
You would think a bunch of passionate professionals.
You mean nerds? Yeah, a bunch of nerds.
Yeah, who would be sitting there all day watching the live feed.
Yeah.
No, completely the freaking opposite. Don't get me started.
I had just a little bit of
angry.
Schadenfreude, however you say that. When
I don't know how you say that.
yeah,
no.
when you take a little pleasure out of other people's pain. I'm
They're
like,
right.
oh yeah, take
Morbid
that,
pleasure
Dave.
out of somebody else's. But yeah, I went out of my way to go somewhere special to watch it. No.
Oh, I had a
fail.
great view. That's kind of like when I was thinking about it, and it's like kind of when you're when people go down to New York. Times Square in New York, right? My friend did that a couple of years ago for New Year's Eve, and he had a terrible time. It was like he had to stand out there for 12 hours in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
You can't go to the bathroom because you can't get out of lose your spot.
Yeah.
And then all these people are at home having parties.
I know.
You can't drink down there too, and it's just terrible. But people do it for the experience. So
yeah, exactly. I've been to Sydney Harbour on New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah.
One of the most famous New Year's Eves,
yes.
because we have the best fireworks display in the world,
that's
right?
that's a good display.
And and millions of people flock to the harbour, and it's exactly like that. It's an
terrible.
Absolute horror. It's a terrible experience.
Oh, yeah.
But you do it because it's the experience. I've done it a few times, and now I just go, I'll just sit at home and watch the fireworks.
Yeah, I've seen things
Much
explode
easier.
enough
So-
times, and if I really want to see it, I'll
exactly.
blow some up myself.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, getting older too. Just
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
so done with crowds. It's tough. Even like Maker Faire was like that too. It's just like
Oh, right. Okay.
It's just a lot of people, and I'm not used to it. Now that I'm isolated suburban doink.
Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Oh.
well, that was unfortunate, but the landing was just odd. I mean, and we were watching. What were we watching? Really, we were watching. Telemetry data, basically. It was, there was nothing.
We're watching people reading telemetry data.
Yeah, there's more commentary about that guy's haircut than anything else. I mean,
Exactly.
when that's happening, that not much data is getting streamed back, but...
Right, yeah. And the funny thing was, unless you were in the know, of how the landing sequence worked, you wouldn't think it was a big deal. Like they just mentioned something, the ESL stage has started or something, and you know to get to that point that all these things, bang, 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 have to happen, and that actually meant, a huge amount. They just rattle off one word, and that would mean, 10 million things have gone right.
Right, yeah, exactly.
It's it's incredible.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was...
Yeah.
But I mean, you missed a good show here too, man. I mean, we were talking about how you talk to the long distance stuff with microwave.
Huh?
Our last guest, Tony, he was talking about microwave.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Sorry, I haven't listened to it all yet.
No.
Right.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Huh? Excellent. No, sorry. With hindsight, I should have been there.
That's okay.
We should have done like a as many people did, and I go, oh, why didn't I think of that? We should have done like a Google Hangout while it was happening, or something like that.
Oh, really? What?
Granted, it may have sucked all our bandwidth.
Yeah, I
and
was
we
gonna
may
say-
have missed a feed,
Yeah,
but
we,
you know, I mean, but if you had a good connection, you know, that'd be fun. Then
That's
you
true.
can get to remotely share it with people.
Yeah, it's true. And a lot of people around. I mean, around here it was like 2 a.m, so everyone's asleep. So.
Oh, right.
I know my
okay,
neighbors
right.
probably weren't watching.
Of course,
That was the other-
of course, because it was like 11 p.m. like West Coast, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And that was the other weird
right.
thing. You know, the next day I'm at work and I'm still so I'm exhausted, right? I went into work
Right.
a little bit late, but I was just like, oh, I'm so excited about this stuff. And I start talking to my coworkers and I'm like, they were all watching the Olympics last night. I can't, you know,
what?
I know, right? It's just like,
Not fail.
I agree. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, they aren't real engineers then, are they?
I don't know, man.
Or maybe they just didn't know.
And that's
I
the other
mean,
thing, yeah. I mean, like, unless
know?
you're... I think there's a lot of visibility online, but, you know.
Yeah, no, with the nerd crowd. But if you're not into that, which is fair enough, a lot of people aren't. They don't follow the forums and Twitter and bloody...
Right, exactly,
you know,
exactly.
Reddit and everything else, you know, they're...
Right.
You know, I'm sure they would have watched it if they knew about it.
Right, exactly.
Right,
And, like,
so-
CNN wasn't... They were late on the coverage. Like, a lot of the big news stations weren't really on it. Not everybody gets NASA
Oh, okay.
TV
Apparently
here.
an Australian one showed it live or something.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
Yeah, everyone was sort of, you know, a few people sort of, you know, poked me and said, haha, I just watched it live on the news, you know, like, yeah,
Yeah.
bastard. Thanks for that. So, yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
Anything...
Which kind of makes sense, actually, right? From a technical point of view, right? Because there were millions of people trying to, you know, absolutely flog the server, right,
Oh,
to get
yeah.
that live feed.
Yeah.
Why can't just one person, like a news network, get the highest quality link to it and then distribute it using their push media?
Oh, well, then-
right,
'cause then
which
they gotta-
doesn't suck bandwidth.
Yeah, then they got to
Right?
put commercials in it. And can you imagine that?
Well,
And be
no,
like,
don't know. Apparently,
like,
no,
and
because
we're
it was
about to
done
get
by
the
the
data,
Australian.
and
Right,
oh,
and
and this
cut
brought
to
to you
break.
by you know, Ernie's
Yeah.
underarm deodorant.
Oh man,
Yeah.
no, it was done by the government channel here.
Oh,
so,
okay, right.
yeah, I don't think they have ads.
Oh, well, there you go.
So yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, but that makes sense, right? Because there's all sorts. You know, there's millions of people trying to kill the NASA server, trying
Yeah.
to get their own individual feed. It's
Yep.
just from a technical viewpoint, it's stupid.
Yeah. Well, you know, the one
I
thing that
think,
was really cool
you know?
was the simulator, the simulator that that NASA put out, and actually the streaming data that came back. Some of that was going. It was a little bit time delayed, I think, based on the video feed.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it actually showed when separation happened, when the parachute happened, and everything.
that simulator was worth gold.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, and that's a good way
And
to
you
do it,
could
right?
follow it in real time. People were telling me they had one window open with the real-time
Yeah.
simulator running,
Yeah, I
like
did
on
that
their
too.
own local copy, and you know, oh, you did.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was
Probably.
doing. That's how I knew it was
Right.
off, because the video feed was showing a
right.
little bit delayed. So I knew that. I think they were probably estimating it and updating it, but you know, towards the
yeah, of
end,
course.
it's
Yeah.
so much stuff's happening, and it's like, well. But I probably would have been happy, you know, like hearing an audio feed and just watching that. That would have been cool too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I didn't really need to watch high bandwidth video, although it was quite exciting to see everyone, you know, the faces of the
Oh,
people
yeah.
in the control room and, you know, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think this shows the superiority of the old-fashioned RF transmitter here, right? Because it doesn't increase the network bandwidth the more people that suck into it, right? Whereas the internet, everyone's trying to download from the NASA server, but if the network news broadcasters do it, right, and they transmit their big, you know, 1 kilowatt RF, you know, TV signal, then, you know, 20 million billion Indians, who we're going to get onto, can tap into that signal, and it doesn't suck the bandwidth.
See, but that's
Right.
not how cable works. I
Still
mean,
works.
you're right about. I think you're right about.
Oh, well, cable. This is America, right? We don't have freaking... Well, we do kind of have cable. Well, we do have cable here, but no, we still use the old-fashioned RF.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
Transmitter,
I have a.
right?
I have a.
Well, no. Why does it suck excess bandwidth from the cable? It's a broadcast medium. One signal goes down the cable, and as long as you buffer it, bang.
Right. Well, that's what I mean.
fine,
Is that
right?
in a cable system, like in a you know, like a cable delivery or single line delivery, they have
Yep.
multiple repeaters in there. That's how they're doing. I mean, it is
Yeah,
people
yeah.
tapping
Well,
off.
it's
It's
the
a
same
shared
thing.
line,
Yeah.
right? But it's
Yeah.
it's just they have
Yeah.
it built in. They know how much bandwidth it'll take for everyone to receive every signal, and then they,
Yep.
you know, so more people pulling into that, it's already built in, really. So
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, more people reading that, it just loads down the line, but it doesn't increase the bandwidth of the line. There's no bandwidth increase, is there? Or well, maybe there is if it's a digital base because it's got to ping and do authentication and all that.
Yeah,
sort of
that's
crap,
what I was
right?
figuring. Yeah.
But if it was like I presume like there's an old fashioned RF kind of coax cable system, right? And in that case, where there's no digital transmission, like digital communication between them, then, everyone should be able, in theory.
I don't know. I don't know if
an
every
infinite number of people can
if
tap
every
that off.
drop. I would assume there's some kind of drop, or each modem or I guess like set top box or whatever was the old analog way of doing it, or even just straight into a TV. I assume that. Every time you have to consume a little bit of power in order to receive a signal.
Well, you do as a load source.
Right, exactly.
It's
so there's
like the phone system, right? You can't put more than, it's called REN. I can't remember what REN stands for, but that's the number of devices you can put on the line before it gets loaded down so much before it dies in the arse.
Yeah, there's always that, I would think.
Yeah, but it doesn't increase bandwidth. It's just a loading issue. Okay. Right? That's what I'm saying.
Interesting.
Whereas the internet live feed from the NASA server, right, everyone had to get their own little individual stream, right? So, it's... so it was... Yeah, it shows the superiority of just good old-fashioned
broadcast,
RF,
right?
Yeah, broadcast technology. Yeah.
Well, I think if one thing is clear from this past week, it is that I have no idea what's going on with servers and internet and everything else. So, yeah.
It's not my server that died in the arse, folks. This is the brand spanking new server which Chris chose and manages and...
Yep.
We got hacked, right?
Yep, we got. Well, it was. I kept saying hacked. It was more like a script kiddie. It was basically I installed a bad plugin, and then I found out which one it was, and.
That's how they got in. It was through a plugin. Yeah. I was going to say, how did they get our password to get into the server?
Oh yeah, they don't have our password. Our password is baloney. Now they have our password.
Plug-in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeez, the hackers don't even have the decency to hack your password anymore.
I know, really,
that's
right?
Just
kids
low,
these days.
Right?
Kids these days.
Kids. That's just...
Yeah.
God, when I was a boy, you had to sit there for
exactly.
2 weeks hacking the password, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry about that. It was a mess, to say the least. It was a mess. But we're back up for now. Hopefully, well, first off, the thing that's important, because people kept asking me this on Twitter or email or everything else, you can always get our podcast at theamphour.libsyn, LIBSYN.com. That's actually where we host our show. So you can always go there and download it. Mm-hmm. And if you want to download like all of the episodes, that's actually the best place to do it. So,
yep.
That's just a little information point, because it's some, stuff happens, right? I mean, hopefully not again, right? I don't want this to happen again, but
no.
Yeah.
And that is a CDN, a content delivery network, so it's a distributed server thing. So even if half the planet loses power like India did, then you can still get your fix of the amp hour from the Libsyn server. That's why we use it.
Yeah.
We don't host the audio files on our own server.
Right. Yeah, this is
because
like the
once
cable.
Again, it's that stupid. It's like the cable. It's like the It's if 1,000, if all of our 5,000 listeners started listening at the same time from our server would just die in the arse.
Right.
It wouldn't be able to handle 5,000 individual streams.
Right.
So,
which I guess does put a interesting number on it, because like you think of how many people were watching the NASA stuff that you were talking about.
Exactly, millions. Yeah. Right. That's I'm surprised it held up at all. It didn't last time apparently. What was the last big event for NASA? Was it the Phoenix lander, or was there something?
Oh, the Falcon maybe
else since then.
The Falcon docking with the ISS.
Oh, okay.
Was that it?
Maybe.
I don't know. I didn't get to watch that one. I watched one of the other launches, the SpaceX launch. Man, that was crazy too. And it's like like watching that stuff live. I was at work that time. It was like I was just like sitting there like in my chair like go 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 go. All my coworkers again didn't know what I was talking about, and
so they were peeping over the cubicles.
Yeah, exactly.
This that Gamble guy's gone crazy.
He's
again.
crazy, man.
He's talking to himself.
Yep. So.
Oh boy. But what a win for engineering
Yeah.
I mean, it's engineering here. It's not science that's
Yeah, there's
winning,
science in
really,
there.
right?
There's science in there.
There's some science, right? But basically, it's an engineering problem, right? How to land this son of a bitch on the surface of Mars, right? This 1-ton freaking rover.
Yes.
I mean, it's basically an engineering problem.
It is
I mean,
built on the fundamentals
the
of
science
science.
was solved back in the
Right.
60s,
Right.
right? You know, in terms of all the physics of all the,
gravitational pull.
trajectories and
Yeah.
all that. Yeah, all that sort of stuff was solved way back,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah.
Yeah, they're like riffing on
And
the
they're
problem.
still using parts and algorithms from the Viking landers in the 1970s, from the from the Apollo moon landings. They're still using some of the algorithms from all that.
Yep.
You know, so.
And
But no, this is a pure engineering win, I think.
I think so too. I mean,
I'm going to claim it for engineering. Bloody oath.
I think
think
it is.
there's
Yeah.
No, I think there's no question at all.
Yeah, and
It's we who did it.
And even older engineering, like you said with the. I don't know what you were talking about, the older parts, but did you mean the radio transmitters and stuff? I mean that.
No, the algorithms, the rocket motors and the thermal, the thermal power units, the nuclear plutonium power units, and all this sort of stuff is all, Viking lander stuff,
Yeah, well, and
all
also
Apollo,
they
it's
talk to it through the the older satellites and everything too. I mean, you think about the firmware upgrades they have to do. They have to they got to push all that stuff down. People lament having to use C. I mean, well, I guess this was all written in C too. But they said 500 million or 500,000 lines of C
code. That was just for the landing sequence, I think.
Yeah, that's
it's
bonkers.
just I know it's crazy, and we wouldn't have been able to get all this data if it wasn't for the satellites and the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter up there, which got the last landing. It took the famous photo of the Phoenix lander landing, landing with the, it had the big crater in the background, fantastic photo, and it got the same photo again of it captured this rover under parachute landing on the surface. Incredible.
Yeah, that was an awesome picture.
Yeah, it's just, oh, man.
I feel like we're a week late here. It's like this stuff's already all been talked about before, but it's still exciting, right? It's on the electronic side. It's kind of interesting looking at the the stuff that's actually running all this stuff. It was a Power PC, 200 megahertz, 2 gig of flash memory. Like it's not much from the modern standards, right? But it's all super tested, golden case chips and everything, and super radiation hardened.
And,
like triple error correcting code kind of things. It's just insanity. It's just trying to, these engineering I mean, like, I think if you look at the cost of actually doing this stuff is probably less than it was, 20 years ago just because of the availability. But a lot of the design constraints have not gotten any easier. Radiation has not gotten any less in space. So,
still the same old problems.
Yep. And interesting from the C perspective, too. I mean, like, maybe that'll be a resurgence of kids saying, hey, I should learn how to, actually program.
Oh, we don't need more programmers, do we?
Well, I mean, so one of the things I had on the list from this week was about the NI week, because I was, I like National Instruments and LabVIEW and everything like that, but I don't know if I've complained on this show before or somewhere else, but my alma mater now offers LabVIEW as a programming class, and it's
right.
It really hit me the wrong way, and
because it's a proprietary language, right?
Well, not even that. It's just I mean, I know that there's like you can write C underneath like all these modules and everything, but I don't know. Like you look at the Mars lander, right? And like the C is running it. Like you have to get down into the hardware in order to do that stuff, and you can't have any higher level bloat, I guess.
Crap, just wasting your...
And I know. Listen, before people, get into our comment section and start tearing me a new one.
There'd be real-time operating systems as well, and stuff like that.
Right. And I understand that NI has its own purpose for everything, but...
to make money.
Well, yeah, but...
they're a corporation, right? And they donate, right? They just give all the shit for free to the universities. They've probably got all of the educational material as well, so they just hand everything over pre-packaged to the universities, right? That's why they bloody do the courses.
Yeah.
because they get it all for nicks.
Oh,
right?
you mean like teaching? I don't know, but
And there's teaching material because you can't just give stuff for free to universities and go, here, use it. And then they're going to go, oh, yeah, but now we have to spend 6 months writing all the course material for it.
Yeah.
Well, if you get given the course material,
right.
that's like what Agilent do with their scopes as well.
Yeah.
Right? Is because they sell the educational material with it.
Yeah.
As well. So they give you a huge educational discount on the scopes and the other products, but they also give you all these manual, all the course stuff. So teachers don't have to write anything.
Yeah.
Bang. Instant course.
Done. Right. And yeah, that's a good idea. But
Well, it's smart from a business perspective.
right. Bring it all back. I mean, I like that from the, just the focus on needing to get down into the hardware and needing to be able to control stuff. Like, yeah. All right, go C. That's good. I thought that was good.
Well, C is still a high-level language, don't forget.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's no assembly, and it's no solder, right?
Right. Yeah, my favorite programming language is solder.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, boy.
Well, it was fun to watch. That whole thing. It was all great. It was. God, can you imagine if it crashed?
You enjoyed it. I know. Well, right. If it crashed, right, you're either a hero or you're a freaking villain, right? NASA would be, they'd lose their funding.
$2.8 billion of funding.
They would be absolutely, hauled over the coals if it failed. Right. So their balls were hanging on the line. It was.
Yeah.
They were on the chopping block, right?
Yep.
And they were going to get cut off if this thing failed, right? It was just
I don't know. I don't know how you but that's not really fair. I mean,
yeah, I know, but that's how the world works, right? And that's why they needed all of the telemetry data back in real time. It was 1 meg's worth of data, right? That's all the data they got back during the whole entry procedure. But it would have been enough for them to know exactly at what point it failed so they could lessen the impact. If it did actually crash, they can go, oh, well, it just crashed on the sky crane, but everything else worked. Look, so we're still kind of, look.
Let's get Mark II ready.
Please give us more funding. We'll get it right next time. But if it burned up in the atmosphere or something, because somebody got the wrong angle because they used metric, instead of imperial or something,
right?
Then,
God, I hope. Yeah, man. Maybe they should crash the next one. They should be like, well, we really need to start teaching metric in schools in the U.S.
Right.
I'd say that's worth $2.8 billion right there. No more of this miles per hour shit,
Right. You're a fan of the old metric, are you?
Oh yeah, well, I can't do it still. I still still refer back to
because you're already brainwashed with the American imperialist system, right?
Yeah, working with Europeans, I get caught up, and I'm like, I kind of take that second, and I'm like, 25.4, right? That's like the big length conversion because I'm doing plastic stuff or connectors, and so thankfully. I finally figured out that trick. But other than that, I'm pretty much up a creek. I mean, I find myself referring back to the XKCD comic for all the relative ways of remembering what is what, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And thankfully, somebody decided, very thoughtfully, that it would be precisely 25.4.
Versus...
They actually defined it.
Why not 25?
Versus 25.4000001, because I think technically it was, right? There was some decimal point way down in there that, but then somebody said, no, this is freaking stupid, right? And we have to define it as 25.4. So the imperial system slightly changed.
Interesting.
By that,
Oh, because there's no standards for
by
the...
smidgen.
Is it all based on
because the metric stuff is all based on, science, all length and everything is based on, transition of atoms and distances and all, and whereas the imperial system's all based on, the royal cubit of somebody's,
Right, someone took a dump in a box and they weighed it and then they saw how long the turd was.
Exactly.
That went a little too far. I apologize.
And so they went, well, bugger it, we'll, rather than tweak the metric system, which would be stupid, they tweaked the imperial system of length, and it's precisely 25.4.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I like it.
I like it too.
Was thinking.
Speaking of things that are in a box, you did a video this week about the unwritten rules of open source hardware, and that
I did.
That was all based on a thing in a box.
Well, no, actually, that's what spurred me on to do it. But I've been meaning to do this exact video for 6 months.
Yeah,
probably. I've been, I'll make this, because I thought there were, a lot of, because I see, similar sort of issues keep sort of cropping up here and there.
Yeah.
And I've been meaning to do this for ages. But, the Tangy bot sort of went, bugger it, right, I'm going to go to the lab and I'm going to spend 10 minutes recording the video.
I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. I expected the video to be a little more preachy than it was, but I thought it was very well measured.
Right.
I thought it was,
Thank you very much.
It was good. It was good stuff.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, no, I didn't shout or get angry or anything like that.
I didn't expect to get angry. I just expected
it wasn't, right.
Yeah.
More
the usual
huggy.
Yeah, the usual wincing I do when we bring up open source hardware on here these days. I'm like, uh-oh.
Okay.
Here comes Dave.
I'm glad I did well, because I didn't really plan it.
It was good. It was very
jotted down my 5 points on a post-it note, and that was
good stuff.
And I hit record, and I went, I've got to talk about it.
Dave Cat.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
But it was all based on the Tangibot, which it caused a little bit of ruffles. But we talk about Kickstarter on here, once in a while.
Probably too much.
Probably, yeah.
But so we won't mention.
It's an interesting.
Anyway, there's a project out there.
Yeah.
It's called the what?
I mean, I'm just saying it's an interesting thing these days. It's in the news. It's everywhere, right? I mean,
it's everywhere. Yeah, exactly.
That's where
So
projects are going.
Sorry if you hate it and you're.
Well,
sick
it's interesting
of
because it allows hardware. That's the interesting part of it. That's why Dave and I like it, right? I mean,
yep.
Even though Dave wouldn't take funding like that, and I don't ever make anything.
I plan to do it for my next project.
Okay.
So just as a trial, I just want to see what it's like. I mean, I could easily get the same, because I have an established audience.
Right.
You see, that's the difference, right? Whereas most people don't. I could just put it up on my website and take pre-orders.
Right.
Right?
True.
Exactly the same thing.
Yep.
But you're hobbyist in their back shed, right? They don't have an established audience, so this is a fantastic way for them to, reach. Because there's nerds just sitting on Kickstarter. Oh, what can I contribute to?
Yep.
Yeah. And there's just they just sit there scouring it.
It's great.
I know.
It's great. So that's why we like it.
Brilliant.
That's why we always talk about it, because we have heard, complaints here and there, but it's just an interesting cultural difference. Not cultural difference.
Crowdfunding.
Yeah,
and it's not the only one.
Thing. Yeah.
And it's not the only one. There are others out there.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So they're,
But this one is a little different. It's basically a clone. It's a straight clone of open source hardware.
Which is actually against the Kickstarter terms and conditions, technically.
Yeah, that's what I didn't get. So Kickstarter...
I didn't know that. I didn't know
I knew
there
that.
was.
It was, you need to have it as a creative endeavor. And
right, okay.
Basically, I'm not sure why this squeaked through. I don't know if... not squeak through, because it's a big project. I mean, they're trying to get $500,000. It's like not small.
So they would have, carefully vetted the video and everything else. They wouldn't have just gone, rubber stamp that one. It's only $2,000 or something.
Right, exactly.
They would have vetted this one, and he makes no. He doesn't hide the fact that it's a direct clone. He says it many times in his video.
Right.
His pitch video.
Right.
So
did we say what he's cloning?
Passed.
He's cloning a MakerBot. He's both
cloning a MakerBot Replicator,
right?
Yep.
Which is the one you just reviewed.
Which is ironic because it's the term name,
Replicator.
Sorry.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and this is the point number one, right? You said you have to add. That's the unwritten rule that
some sort of value.
Yeah, you should add value.
You've got to.
So my question to that is manufacturing. Efficiencies, is that adding value?
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah, I got in trouble for that once. I went to my boss's boss's boss, and I said, I'm really frustrated we're not innovating around here. And
well, you just killed your career chances right there in one sentence.
I was feeling incredibly comfortable at the time. I'm not sure what came over me, and I said,
"You young foolish whippersnapper."
Yeah, exactly. and then she proceeded to tell me about like legitimate things that were innovation in process. Process innovation is a very realistic thing. That's how companies make
of course
money.
It is.
It's like,
within a company, yes, of course,
exactly.
Yeah,
and I got in trouble for that.
But that's not the same thing, right?
Well,
but innovation within a company, because you're running a business, is not the same as innovating on a community project, right? They're
Right.
chalk and cheese, right?
What, chalk and cheese?
Chalk and cheese.
All right, here we go. Aussie dictionary time.
They're as different as chalk and cheese.
Like a piece of chalk that you write on a board?
Yeah.
Who gets that confused? Do you have cheese and little... I guess string cheese. Chalk and cheese.
Well, you can eat chalk. Haven't you ever eaten chalk? Kids do it all the time. Well, this is back in the day before you were born, when we actually used chalk on the blackboard.
Did they used to put chalk, or did they used to put a lot of lead in chalk, Dave, when you were snacking on it?
Probably.
Yeah. Rounded off a little bit of...
At least they're made here. They weren't made in China.
Yeah.
You know? Oh boy, no! But chalk is harmless in itself.
Yeah, it's gypsum. Yeah, I know. Chalk and cheese. All right, back to it. Different as chalk and cheese. What were we saying about that?
A community project is different. You know, cloning it is not innovating it. You know, it's not adding to the art of the project. It's not adding to the value of the project. It's possibly helping out people afford it,
right?
But it's not in the spirit of what open source hardware is about, especially when the person who originally created the project is selling the product. You know, they have first dibs, and to just simply undercut them and add no other value is not good, in my opinion. I don't necessarily have a low opinion of this guy. I just think, he's entitled to do this.
Yeah,
A,
definitely.
And B, I think he probably has good self-justified reasons for doing it. I just happen to think that he's not going to be very popular, and I don't think he'll meet his funding target. And,
it was kind of high.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm not necessarily against anyone who does this. You're free to do anything you like, and that's the risk of putting your open source hardware project out there, is that people can clone it because all the info's out there.
Right.
But yeah, I just, I'm just saying that you're not going to be very popular.
Yeah, I was reading...
so it's more of a warning, really.
Right, and it's
more of a heads up.
It's
anything else.
It's a market. It's right. I mean, like, if people want to support it, they'll support it, and as long as Kickstarter's allowed to,
the market will decide.
Exactly. In that case,
right? What's right and wrong
actually is quite good. I mean, there's no there's no picketing. Yep. There's nothing. I mean, I guess you could call some of these articles that are online picketing, but not really though. I mean, because you can't stop someone from funding it. So. Yeah. There's no reason otherwise. Exactly. Akiba from Freak Labs, he's on Twitter a lot. Lives out in Japan. He actually paid $10 to back the project in order to leave a comment, as did Phil Terone. And
as did Phil Terone.
Yeah,
yes. So that's that's how passionate people are about this. They actually paid money to write, because you can't leave a comment on the Kickstarter site,
right,
unless you're a backer.
Right.
So you've got to be a financial backer.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Like the fact that paying $10 to leave a comment, that's very different.
Yeah, I know. Hey, we've got a new revenue stream.
Yeah,
dude.
right. We get on Kickstarter, say something really incendiary, and just
watch people just hand over their money. Oh boy! If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, and so
if you slag it off, they will come.
Yeah. You start charging for comment section on your videos, Dave, right?
I know. Yeah. This is great.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know why I didn't think of this before.
We fixed the internet.
Oh boy!
We should do that actually for like local newspapers, like how there are always terrible people that are in the comment section. You should have to pay to comment on there too.
Right.
Finally, newspapers could make their money back, right?
Right. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yep.
So Akiba also wrote on his blog though about writing about this.
Hey, actually, no, sorry. That's an interesting concept, right? Because you're reaching a mass. Sorry, I got to just hit me. You've got to right. If you've got 1 million people reading this newspaper, right? Why couldn't you actually charge people and say, look, you can have the column space you want to say anything you want for X price.
Yeah. Are you a crazy person who wants to spout your opinions? Only $2, right?
It's only per column inch.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe there's a business model.
Why
in
not?
Yeah.
Hey. And it would make them write very succinct,
Oh, yeah.
So
Make them
I'm
charge
paying
per word.
Inch.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Hey, this is brilliant.
this is good. Yeah, we're great. We should start a Kickstarter about this.
I know, we should. This is great.
Yes.
Man.
Anyways.
Come in soon. Anyway.
Akiba wrote about it basically because it might be a failure of the open source hardware model, right? That's kind of the fear, is that, people can just undercut it. And like, have we reached that point of, where the Apple computer leaves the garage, right? And it starts getting invested in and everybody starts to make money and then race towards the bottom and that kind of thing. And that I think that is kind of an undertone here. And I don't know. I'm clueless on this whole thing, but I had very mixed feelings about this whole thing. I don't know.
Well, I think, all he had to do was just make a couple of little improvements, right? Like, he's an engineer, right? He designed was involved in designing the what is it? Some cut. Brand name. Yeah, cutter, right?
Paper cutter.
It's one of those 2D fabric cutters, right? It's one of the most popular ones. And, so I'm sure he's got the talent to make changes to it, but... that's all we had to do. Make a few improvements, make it look slightly different, perhaps. And, but no, it's an exact duplicate. Every nut, every bolt, and he makes no bones about saying that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So,
well.
No, I think that's precisely where he went wrong. No one would have kicked up a stink if he just made a few improvements, changes.
Yeah. The draw of high volume manufacturing just isn't there yet, right? I mean, like, when it's a community-based product, you kind of have to make that transition of, well, you got to have one, right? As soon as everyone says, I got to have one, that's when 3D printers are going to, the price is going to fall out, right? Because then there will be enough economic incentive for people to know, oh, well, there's going to be one in, every other home, and, that's when the race at the bottom happens. But we're not there yet. And it happened with computers, right? I mean, eventually, at the beginning, everyone said, no, of course you're not going to need a computer in every home. And they were still expensive as hell. But as it went along, as they saw the profits, then, boom, done. Like, straight to the bottom. Or as cheap as the bottom could go at that point.
And I think that's what a few people are a little bit upset about here, is it looks like he's not in it he's in it just to make money. He's not in it because he's passionate about it. That's what a few people have claimed. So I'm not going to claim that, but, a few people have said, that's what it looks like, because he's talked about other projects he wants to fund. So it looks like he's just using this as a Kickstarter, no pun intended, to kickstart his business so that he can work on other stuff. And, this is just a way for him to make money.
That is...
to start his business rather than be passionate about 3D printers and,
Back up. That was exactly the pun you intended.
Of course. Sorry, I know. Okay. All right. And, and that's what, Phil was, I think, complaining about and stuff like that, so... Yeah,
it'll work itself out. I'm not too worried about it.
No, I'm not too worried about it. I just think it'll fail. I don't think he'll get his, back in and, and that's it. And the other thing I think Phil was complaining about was that, or somebody, it may have been Akiba perhaps, who complained about it, that this guy sort of made the assumption that because the MakerBot is good, right, is like one of the best 3D printers on the market, then his one is automatically going to be good or even better because, it's an absolute duplicate. But that's not necessarily the case. How can you claim that when you haven't actually seen the roll off the production line yet? How are your tolerances? It could easily be just complete crap and not work at all.
Just that move from, smaller boutique manufacturing up to large scale, like high volume kind of stuff.
MakerBot, that's their problem. They've spent years figuring out how to tweak this stuff so that it actually, works and
that's an interesting
semi-reliable
point.
And all that.
Yeah, because every company has that like tribal knowledge, right? I mean, that's you go on a manufacturing floor, and there's at least one technician that can get just about any piece of electronics to work, right? He always knows
exactly.
it's always R1 that blows up, right? I've done this 1,000 times, and heed these words, youngins. Get to know your technicians. Get to know anyone who's good with that stuff, because you will look like an idiot. Speaking as someone who's looked like an idiot many times, when you start doing spice simulations and you start theorizing about what it is, and then you take it and you present it to your manager, and they say, "No, Bob fixed that like 3 days ago. He changed R1." And you're like, "R1? That's not even in the circuit, sir." That is exactly what will happen. Exactly, that's exactly what will happen. So, heed those words. That's experience talking.
I've been there. Yeah. I've done that. I've been the only one in the company who knew how all the production test gear worked and how to maintain it.
Yep.
It's called job security, folks.
It's not. It's not. It's called. That's called working weekends, Dave.
Right. Yeah, it's just that it's not uncommon for one person to know all the little tweaks on a production line to keep it going.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
That was 10, 15 years.
Do you still get calls about it? That's the real question.
I did many years after I left.
Yep.
Yes,
every
many
time
years
man.
after I left.
You leave your name in comments or on a schematic on like a production test fixture. You can guarantee they will track you down. LinkedIn is your worst enemy. They will track you down and they will offer you large sums of money to come back and be a consultant. and you'll do it because it's a lot of money. And then you'll go back and you'll say, "What was I thinking?"
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's
so
part of the game.
Right. So, thumbs up or thumbs down to this Kickstarter project, in your opinion?
I would not fund it personally, but I have still not taken a leap on. This has not spurred me into buying a 3D printer. If that's an indication, right? I want one.
Yeah, because it's not like half the price or a quarter of the price. It's still over $1,000.
Yeah, it's
2/3 the price.
Exactly. If he came in at the same price as a printer bot, there's psychological stuff there, right, people? I mean, like
there are psychological levels.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason they split stocks too. I mean, it's not the only reason they split stocks, but it's because like there are. You could probably sell it piecemeal, right? You could sell, smaller and then do add-ons, and that alone, people will, like how Dell used to sell computers, right? You build it up yourself. Oh, well, I did that. I made that price, right? And yeah, it's tough.
I know.
But there's actually,
anyway,
real quick about another Kickstarter project, there's actually a synthesizer on there that is modular. It's this modular synth, right? Nothing new there, but it's it clips together and real cool. And it looks great. That's the kind of thing where you can build it up, right? You can say, oh, well, you fund $5 and you get one, or I didn't look at the levels, but
right.
When you can build it up and people will build it up, right? There's always a spectrum of how much, there's always super users, there's always casual users, and so there's that psychological barrier, and pricing is its own. I mean, I've never priced anything, so I don't know how to do. I don't know how you priced your like microcurrent if you just did the double or triple the BOM cost.
Yeah, there's a standard double, triple formula,
2.4,
something like
Chris
that, over your complete manufacturing cost.
Yeah, Chris Anderson talked about 2.4 times it, right?
4, is a very common one, yep.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I think we talked about that enough. We beat that one to death.
Well, speaking of Kickstarter and these crowdfunding sites, it sort of started out where you didn't actually get anything, like you just pledged money because you felt good about it or something, or you might get a T-shirt or something like that. But I think that's going the way of the dodo. I think,
I don't know, man.
where you pledge $5, $10 and you don't actually get anything, like you just get like a thank you on their website.
No, they still do that.
Right. Yeah, they still do that, but I think I can see that going the way of the dodo. I think people want,
there'll always be artist projects where they'll always want like a thing. Like people will just. I think they'll always have that. To be honest.
Okay. Well,
I backed the project.
probably.
I backed another podcast actually. The 99% podcasts, and they got 170 grand. So
what?
Yeah, 170 grand.
Jesus, why didn't we do this?
They have a lot.
Why do they need so much money?
That's going to be a whole season. They do. This is a great podcast. You should check it out.
All right.
Yeah, it's about architecture.
Holy crap!
Right? Yeah, there's money in this podcast. There be gold here. Yeah.
170 grand?
Yeah. All right, since we're talking about high-volume manufacturing, I saw an interesting thing on Electronics Weekly about that. The top 10 discrete power vendors, right? This is an electronics podcast, right? Who do you think number one is?
I've seen it.
Oh,
so don't ask me.
Count. Okay. All right. Well, so it goes down the list. Infineon's number one, right? That's a big car maker one, and then Mitsubishi Electric is number two. So it goes Mitsubishi, Toshiba, ST Micro, International Rectifier, Fuji Electric, Fairchild, Vishay, Renesas, and Semicron. 3 out of 10 there. I have never used. I don't even know they had products, but like it's just
I know.
I'm guessing they have probably like a simple switching regulator or something like that. I mean,
or a MOSFET or something. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, MOSFET. Okay, I figured it was actually active.
We're only talking about power semiconductors here, right? Power. We're only talking about discrete power
and modules. Oh, the discrete
and modules.
Okay,
right?
I figured it was all controllers and actual.
Oh, right. Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about power MOSFETs. That's why Infineon's number one, right? Because they probably do more power MOSFETs than anyone else. Probably.
Yeah, IR is big as well, right? I mean, IR
is big. That's why they come in at number 5.
Yeah.
So
I was really surprised though that
Vishay.
I had never heard of a couple of Semicron. Do you know who that is? I've never the thing is
I've heard of Semicron. I don't think I've ever used them.
Yeah.
Really, I have come across their parts, but
it's just weird because there's a whole like other world out there of like the non-DigiKey or non-Mauser world, right? I mean, like you can't like if they're not distributed in smaller quantities to blokes like you and me, then
it won't get into our mind,
and they don't care though. That's the crazy. I mean, like,
no, they don't.
They don't care at all, right? I mean, they're only playing to, car makers. They're talking to someone at Ford or Audi or something. Well, not Audi, but high volume Honda,
exactly.
Right? Yeah, it's crazy. And you know that they probably have like razor thin margins too if they have to do that stuff because it's already built in, right? So.
Possibly, but I don't think they'd be razor thin. I still think they'd be making.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I guess so. I guess if it's automotive,
because you remember,
especially.
There's that technician. There's that magic technician they've got there in their production facility that tweaks things at the
taps on the
right tongue angle, and
no way, man.
Yep, they can work wonders.
If you're in the millions, you're just throwing stuff out. I think you could never equate the cost of a technician touching something to. Like how long it would take him, how much he costs, and then how much it costs to just build another one, right?
Right.
So you just keep on building them, and then you do Six Sigma crap and blech.
Yeah, it's all about yield,
Ugh. Yield.
Yuck.
Yeah. Yuck.
Wastage. Hate wastage.
Yeah.
Well, Six Sigma's near to perfect, right?
If you get to Six Sigma, yeah.
Yeah, it's, what is it? I can't remember off the top of my head. Six Sigma is like one fire in how many?
Oh, it's like
lots.
Four. It's like 4 in a billion or something like that. I thought.
Yeah,
maybe a lot. I hate to say I have taken Six Sigma training, but you can tell how little I enjoyed it.
I've done that sort of training too, and somebody actually said once, I was in I can't remember what it was, meeting or some other class or something, somebody said, it's actually impossible to get 100% yield. And I said, bullshit. You do 100% testing, and you can guarantee that every product which ships out the door is 100% working.
Well,
when it leaves the factory.
What if your test is faulty, though? I mean, I guess there's always that.
Well, no, but that's what.
What if your technician is sleepy that day? I mean,
no, because you design your test gear right, and nothing's going to slip through, right?
Yeah.
I spent many decades designing automated test gear, and it's possible to nothing slips through.
I think effectively nothing.
If it fails after that test, right, then that's a different story, right? But you can guarantee, this person said, it's physically impossible to get 100% yield on any, 100%. Shipped yield, and that's bullshit.
Yeah,
it's possible. You just have to spend a lot more testing and have to do it a lot more thorough. But
Yeah, and
yeah, anyway.
eventually it becomes like close enough, right? We'll just round up. Come on.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Six Sigma's pretty close to perfect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't
I'm
miss
sure
that
everyone will
stuff.
jump down our throat. I can't believe you can't remember the number.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Whatever. When I'm back in
whatever.
high volume manufacturing, I'll remember the number. Yeah.
And of course, none of this works unless you have power.
None of it works unless you power. That's right. Yeah. None of these
And
top 10 FETs.
what happened in India recently?
Yeah,
apparently it's common as mud. India lose power every day, and they
Every
have
day.
to use power rationing and all that sort of stuff, which is totally foreign to us.
Yeah.
Westerners, we're used to continuous power. If we're lucky if we have one power outage a year and it lasts for an hour. That's a big power outage.
Really?
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a big power outage here. Right. Once a
I
year
guess
for
there's
an
a lot
hour.
of winter here, so
Right.
a lot of
okay.
trees
Well, yeah,
and
there's
power
not-
lines around here. I mean,
Right.
delivery, right?
Yeah.
But
Well, in my area I live in, we don't have above ground power lines. It's all underground, so there's nothing.
Right, so you'd have to have
cars
an
can't slam into power poles.
earthquakes or something like that in order to
Yeah.
get that to happen.
So, yeah, some areas are better than others. But in general, here in Sydney, even though our power grid is often described as on the brink of collapse.
Yeah.
With all these new McMansions popping up with their black roofs and their aircons on 24/7 and all that sort of jazz. Yeah. So, but no, it's incredibly reliable.
Right.
Our power system, really.
Yeah, and the
I
crazy
don't know
thing
whether
about
it's
it.
through luck or good engineering, but
Well, the crazy thing about it is I don't think it was just the distribution here. I mean, it was the lack of paying attention to what people are pulling, right? I mean, like
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people are stealing it, right? I think that's half the problem.
that's definitely
right?
part of the
Is
problem.
That, theft there, whereas theft of power here only happens in drugs, in homes that are, have 1,000 drug lamps, to, so they bypass the meter.
Right.
And, that's, but other than that, there's nobody steals power here. So.
Right.
And, we didn't actually mention the figure. 650 million people in India lost power for a day or 2 days?
Yeah.
something?
No, more. At least 3 days, I believe. I think they started coming
3
on
days.
after the third day.
650 million people is 30 times the population of all of Australia.
Yeah.
So we are lucky. What makes big news here in Australia is that 5,000 people were without power for a couple of hours tonight because there were winds.
Right.
That's big. That's big 6 o'clock news. This is 650 million.
Yeah, and we were talking about Six Sigma before,
kidding?
right? I was thinking about the statistics of it, right? And the statistics of when I know there's not like a ton of air conditioning in India. They wrote a lot of stuff about how it's getting the power draw from that's getting bigger, but you think about older people or infants and just like the heat can really that can kill people, right? So
Oh yeah.
you think about 650
Absolutely.
million people without power, that can affect a lot more people. Just statistically, you're going to just hit a lot more people.
There would be tens of thousands of deaths from this power outage, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know if they didn't write about it or if I stopped reading about it, but I didn't see anything about that. But
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
if they didn't attribute it.
That would not surprise me.
But yeah,
No.
it's crazy.
Well, they're talking about that here. Apparently, some old people are dying here in Sydney because, our power prices are skyrocketing through the roof, apparently. So, and there's all these pensioners going, I can't afford to turn my heater on. So they go without their heater at night and they get, hypothermia and they die because they're so vulnerable.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's a real issue.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so I mean,
imagine in India.
yeah, it's just a ton of people, and we hear the same thing here about the aging infrastructure and yada yada yada, but there's really never
Right.
any. It still works for now, right? It's not going to happen until
exactly. Yeah.
300 million people in the India is likely going to have at least some discussion about upgrading their power grid because it's very expensive to do so, right? I mean, it's not cheap.
Yeah. Well, what do you do? Do you upgrade your power grid, or do you crack down on the people stealing the shit?
Yeah,
and have better control over how much is being used?
Yeah.
And where?
Well, there's a Spectrum article though also talking about that it was also due to an upgrade. They shut down a second circuit on the grid.
Right. Okay.
So
Somebody flipped a switch.
yeah,
huh?
they were actually
And,
upgrading it. So that actually also contributed
That
to the
contributed.
load. Yeah.
Right.
But, if you don't know
Right.
who's pulling what at what time, right? Like,
Yeah.
If people look at like how you actually draw power off a line, I mean, you're actually basically, you're loading down this line, and if you don't know how many people are doing it and you don't have enough capacity at the generation point, then you're basically screwed. You can just brown out the whole system, and it's crazy.
I've got to bring this up. Places like India and other countries, or basically all countries in the world lose power because, somebody drew too much power or something like that. But not in the good old land of the free.
Yeah.
Shall I mention the California power crisis? Woohoo! Capitalism. Yeah, they shut down the power there because the bankers, right? The people trading the derivatives, not the derivatives, but trading, energy certificates. Fake energy certificates shut down the grid.
Oh, see, now
right?
I thought you were
That's how it works in America.
I thought you were going to bring up the squirrel that was down the street from me that blew out the entire eastern seaboard.
No.
Yeah, there was a squirrel in Cleveland that hit a transformer, and it knocked out No, he did not survive, Dave.
Oh, damn it.
Squirrel fricassee.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so that's what took it out in Ohio. We took out the entire eastern I wasn't living here at the time, but it took out the entire eastern seaboard in the middle of summer.
Go squirrel.
Yeah, go Cleveland.
Right. At least we're not Detroit.
Yeah. Well, at least Detroit didn't have a squirrel, right?
So anyway, I don't. Anyway, if you're too young to remember the California power crisis, go Google it, folks, because it's a fascinating reading. It's all to do with Enron and everything else. So
yeah, I don't know much about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, go watch the documentary Enron, the smartest guy in the room.
Gotcha.
I think it's called.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting
I think
because
there's some stuff in that on the power crisis. So
yeah. There was another article on Spectrum about the future of where the jobs are, and basically they're saying power, right? I mean, that's actually what they're. I mean, there will be a lot of jobs for electrical engineers, but it's not electronics. Obviously, that's something that our listeners probably care about because electronics are more fun. But
I can remember. Oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
I can remember we went on a tour of a local power substation once, and the guy who was running it practically was pleading with us to get into the power industry because nobody's getting into the power industry. Everyone's getting into computers. This was around, this was like the late 80s or something, and they were, looking because everyone was getting into computers, right? And nobody was going into power electronics anymore, and they had to shut down the power course, because nobody was taking it, right? And they were pleading,
and
then for people to get into the industry.
Like with all it's not going away anytime soon, right? If anything, with electric cars coming up, like the grid is
it's going to get a lot bigger.
It's going to get worse, right? And if anything, I mean, hopefully, local generation and everything else too. So then maybe there'll even be jobs, people installing power in their. Power installations in their home, yada yada yada.
Solar,
wind,
other energy. Yeah. No, it's huge.
So
it's massive. If you want job security and big pay, get into power. I think definitely. It's not really electronics. It's more system stuff, really. I mean, it's
electrical,
it's not electronics,
right?
really.
I mean, it's
electrical,
right,
instead of electronics. Yeah,
it's always an interesting split, right? It's always, but.
Yep. As usual, the guy who installs the inverter will get paid twice as much as the guy who designs the inverter.
Yeah, man, closer to the money. Got to get closer to the money. And no one will get paid as much as the guy that sells it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, if you're in it for the money, go into sales. I mean, honestly, really.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Or in the power industry, you get paid huge money for going down and mining in the mining industry.
Oh yeah, that's like
they can't get enough people.
The oil rigs here, the same kind of thing. It's just the high margin industries make high margin jobs, right? So if you're in it for the money, you're not going to have as much fun. Let's be honest about that. But as Dave said, as I often quote Dave in his video, if you want to get your design jollies, you do it at home, and that is the lesson that sticks with me.
Yep. Because you're not always going to get it at work.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people are lucky, but I don't. I never rely. I've never relied on the fact that I'm going to get my jollies, as you call it, at work.
Yeah.
Because half the time work's going to be just Dilbert bullshit.
Exactly.
Right. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Meetings and TPS
It depends
reports.
on the company.
Yeah.
TPS reports. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you're in a smaller company, you're doing more, but you'll get to have a little more fun. You probably get to design more stuff, especially
Maybe it's not a universal rule. I know people
that's
who
true.
hate working in a small contract design firm because you're just working your ass off to some ridiculous, impossible deadline.
Oh, like they're on a fixed contract kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So they bid the job up front. They say, "Oh,
Yeah,
well, it'll take us
they've
6
bid the
months
job
and $300,000
and 5 people.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you've got to produce.
and you need to finish it in 4 months and do it. You get one shot.
And that's
Oh
yeah.
Have you ever done that?
No, that's
you ever done
that's
fixed
a night.
bid?
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah?
I've done it.
You'd ever do it again?
No, never.
You do it if you did a Kickstarter.
Right. Well,
That's a fixed bid contract. I mean, I guess you don't get to name the price, but
well, that's right.
yeah, that's your minimum.
Yeah.
So one last thing about power. This is actually on the electronics level, since we're kind of running out of time. I saw this.
And this is an electronic show.
It is. Oh, whoops. If people want electronics, they'll go to chipreport.tv. There's a new episode coming out soon.
How's that going, by the way? How many have you got up?
2. My
right.
my server woes have prevented me from doing a third yet, but it's coming. I got it all written out and stuff.
And you've found that people are joining? People are viewing, commenting?
I don't know. Yeah, people are viewing it, commenting. There's no EEV blog numbers, but it's good stuff.
Oh, cool.
I get some fun ideas.
I started with one person. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this one is not on Chip Report, but this is actually a cool app note I saw from National Now TI. And I was looking at like isolated power, so I wanted to actually have, a line powered side, right, where I actually do some kind of regulation on the line power, and then I want a wholly separate thing. So I actually want an A to D that I have to power, but I don't want any kind of leakage from the ground on the A to D side to come back to the. I want it to be able to float, and basically I don't want any leakage coming back to the line side. So basically you do that usually with isolated power. So you can do a flyback. Usually it involves some kind of always involves some kind of magnetics, I guess.
Always.
Yeah, always.
There's no other way to do it, really.
Yeah, and so usually, you look at like flyback kind of stuff, or you do like push-pull transformers or push-pull controllers to actually control a transformer.
Drive a center tap transformer.
Yeah, exactly.
Both ways, and
So the thing I never learned is that, and I just recently found this app note. It's app note 1095 from National, and basically, I didn't know that you can just use a straight-up buck converter, right? So usually bucks are going from 9 volts down to 5 volts with 90% efficiency, right? That has a inductor in it, but if you do a little mind swap and you think, well, transformer is just an inductor with another inductor coupled to it, you actually can use this as you can actually drive that inductor with just a regular buck converter. And I never knew that before. Apparently, Dave and I were talking about this before.
Yeah,
but
no, that's not new. Sorry.
No, I know it's not new, but it was kind of it was like a
Yeah, you hadn't seen it before.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice when you find something like that, right? I mean,
Yeah, of course. I know.
electronics and discovery, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So basically, what you do is you drive this inductor with your buck converter, and then you couple it across, and you have some kind of the magnetic energy in the transformer allows you to basically draw off that on the secondary side, and then basically you have a rail, and then you have to feed that back somehow so that you actually know to stop charging it, right? So you get to 5
And
volts.
the feedback has to be isolated too, otherwise you've just ruined the whole
Right,
point
exactly.
of having the transformer there.
Right.
So you've got to use an optocoupler.
Or you can use a third winding on a transformer, which is
Or you could use a third. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could use another one.
how a flyback works as well. But yeah, I don't know why I never knew this before, but it was a pretty cool app note. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
No, it's it really goes into a lot of detail on how to, all the formulas and everything else, all the
Yeah, how to spec the transformer.
It isn't that long, but it's it's fairly detailed.
Yeah. So
I like it.
It was
App note of the week.
yeah. There we go. 1095. We miss you, National. Come back. We miss you.
Well, it's still got worldwidewebnational.com down the bottom, but
Yeah.
then at the top it's plastered with Texas Instruments.
Yeah, they probably just did some script thing where they just replaced all the headers, right?
Yeah, they've got some PDF script
Yeah.
engine, that goes through and adds that first page with the TI logo.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, TI's got good power stuff too. I like them both.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
They've always had good
Yeah.
power stuff. Yeah. Oh, boy.
I guess is that it for the week? Anything else?
Yeah, probably. We're 5 minutes over.
Ooh, one last Kickstarter project. People got to check it out.
Oh, another one? Yeah, why not? Gone to town today.
It's a robot. It's a hexapod rideable robot. It looks like a big spider, like from Wild Wild West. It looks like that thing. People should go check it out. They're doing some fun stuff. I really liked it. I backed it actually on Kickstarter because they have an awesome bumper sticker.
Right. That's all you want is the bumper sticker for your $5 or $10, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh boy.
Well, so next week we'll have a local. We're gonna have a Cleveland guest on here, and so puts the nails to Dave to find a Sydney guest to have on in the future after that.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a local guy. He started a company and sold it for a lot of money, and now he teaches at my alma mater, and he's a really cool dude. So
sweet.
yes, I think it will be awesome, and he'll be in studio. That'll be different.
Huh? Oh, by the way, speaking of our guests, did I read on Twitter that somebody else has joined the Valve hardware team?
Yeah, another one. We should probably have him on the show, huh?
One of our Twitter friends who listens to the show.
Yeah, Roy Elpham.
Who was it?
Yeah.
Sorry. Roy
Yeah.
Elpham, of course, yes.
Yep. So another one.
Yeah, but he hasn't been a guest on the show, but at least he's associated with the show in some tenuous way.
Yeah, Twitter,
I guess.
yeah. I'm also associated with Justin Bieber, and
Oh, right. Okay.
yeah, I don't even know
you're
who
a
else.
big follower,
no,
right?
just
First one
to pop
there you
that.
go. Yeah, they're growing. The incest continues in the Valve hardware group. Oh boy, I love it.
Yep.
That's how the industry works, though, folks.
Yep.
That's
who you know. It's who you know.
Yep. Exactly. Everyone hires their friends. They hire known quantities, If you're an unknown from outside, you're more of a risk. They're not going to...
More of a risk. And who doesn't want to work with their friends? That's like awesome. That is like the ultimate. If you can get on your hiring committee at work, do it. You can hire people you actually want to work with. Much better than hire the weirdo.
I've done that quite a few times. I've hired people that I know, that I've worked with before.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I go recruiting at schools for like co-ops and future hires because... I don't want to work with some dumbass. I want to handpick them,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's great. All right. Well, I guess people could find us on Twitter, hopefully on our website.
If it stays up.
If it stays up.
Grumble. Script kiddies.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
You turn the ringer off on your office phone there, buddy?
I can put it to silent. Yeah, we've got a new phone, actually. Ooh. We can put it to silent. Yeah, hang on. Let me do that.
Hello? I'm going to mute the phone. What? Mute the phone for an hour.
Oh, she doesn't sound happy. Here's my interpretation. We're gonna mute the phone. You all know. She didn't sound.
The phone is now mute.
She didn't sound too happy.
Oh, right. No.